Hello and welcome to the first video in the series of network automation videos. Here we are going to start with zero touch provisioning or the ZTP. Well, zero touch provisioning is the concept of provisioning a router or a switch in a network without pre-configuring it. That means you just get a new router somewhere in the network. Somewhere else in the network, you're gonna keep the config for the router and somehow this router config file automatically loads up into the router. Well, that is the concept of this. This is achieved by the help of a DHCP server and a TFTP server. While the router boots up, it requests for a DHCP IP. This is done by auto configuration. Auto configuration is a feature that's available in every routers. In the example that we'll follow through, we'll be taking a Cisco router just for the example, and my Cisco router is running an iOS version 15. For the demonstration, we're going to boot a Cisco router without the DHCP option. Here's my router. Right now, you can see that it's not connected to anything, and we're going to boot it just like that and see the behavior. Then we are going to connect the new router to my existing router and see the difference in the behavior. For the example over here, I do have a TFTP server. That TFTP server is supposed to provide the config file for the new router. That's the concept. But before that, we're gonna boot the new router without connecting to anything. As expected, it went to the initial configuration dialog, and usually I do the no and enter. This time I'm going to connect new router to the existing. I'm going to do the same exercise again by switching it off and switching it on again. So the concept here is that my router boots up first, requests for an IP address from the DHCP server. DHCP server provides an IP address. Well, along with the IP address, the DHCP server also provides the option 150 and option 67. The option 150 is about the IP address of the TFTP server, and option 67 is about the file name. In my example over here in this demo, in the drawing, my file name is router-conf, and if my DHCP server is giving the reply to the router with option 67 as router-conf, the router here will look for the file router-conf in the TFTP server. I'm supposed to have a TFTP server over here, and inside the TFTP server I should keep this file router-conf. Newly booted router getting the IP address from the DHCP server will have its option 67 as the file of its config file, and option 150 as the IP address of the TFTP server. Well, that is enough information for the router now to contact the TFTP server for its configuration. I have my TFTP done with SolarWinds, and I kept a file. Let me pull the root directory of the SolarWinds in a moment. So over here I have the folder, the TFTP root folder. I do have a file called ZTP underscore demo dash config. That's the file I'm supposed to take it to the new router automatically. And the way it works is with the help of a DHCP server. The existing router over here is my DHCP server. Let's have a look at the pool that I created for the new router. Here is the pool. In the pool, you can see this with the pool name, the network, having the IP that I'm supposed to give to the new router, and then there is an option 150 with an IP address of my TFTP server, and an option 67 with the string character of the file that I want my router to go and fetch from the TFTP server. That in this example is ZTP underscore demo dash config, we see the same file over here, ZTP demo config, and this is the TFTP route that I have. Now let me boot the new router. Unlike the last time, the device should load with configuration. And before that, let's have a look at the content of the file, the ZTP demo-config. This is the content of the file. I just kept a change in the host name. Last time we saw that it booted up with the host name as the router. So this time it should boot up with ZTP underscore demo. Just for the example purpose, I kept a username for us to verify that the change is done. And in the uplink interface, I changed the description saying this is configured with zero test provisioning. Back to the terminal. We see that the router already booted up and that it's done loading the config from ZTP underscore demo config, and that was from the TFTP server. Everything looks okay. Press enter. We see the host name as expected from our file ZTP underscore demo, which was a host name that we expected. And if the username has 1234, yes, that's there. And one more change we did from the auto configuration was the interface fast ethernet 0/0, and the description is there.